Just get my bearing straight here. Here we go. Alright. So we were speaking about Salatul Musafir, and so it's 192 Salatul Khawf. Alright. So yeah, we said we're going to speak about the differences of the Hanafi madhab and the Shafi madhab. So the interesting thing about the Hanafi madhab, we find that their view of keeping jam, or rather qasr, is wajib. It says wajib if you're on travel to make the qasr, and the timing is also not it's not 4 days, it's actually 15, so it's much longer. So you find by following the Hanafi madhab, things are actually much easier. It's easier in terms of making the qasr. Then also they have the same opinion in terms of when you leave the city, then you can start making your qasr. But which is something we spoke about, Salatul Khawf. I believe we spoke about this in detail. The interesting thing about doing Salatul Khawf is the chances are, or none of us, or I mean, I don't know anybody that's actually made Salatul Khawf. Does Bhutan anybody?
No.
You know anybody made Salatul Khawf? This is normally in a war zone. It will be in a war zone, or in a very, very strange, or a situation where your life is in danger. But the interesting thing about doing Salatul Khawf is when you do it, you can see that even in extreme circumstances, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed salah. So, I mean, one would think that if salah could be left out, then it would be when your life is in danger. But even when your life is in danger, Allah has changed the format of salah so that salah can actually continue. So let's just look at the outlay of how the Salatul Khawf actually takes place. So khawf is fear. When you see this, your life is in danger, you have this anticipation that you're in great danger. معناه والأصل في مشروعية الخوف ضد الأمن. So this is obviously the opposite of safety. This is not like your normal salah. والمقصود بصلاة الخوف الصلاة التي تؤدي في ظروف القتال. So again, like I said, it is taking place in war zones, right? In war zones. إذ تختص برخص وتسهيلات لا سيما بالنسبة للجماعة لا توجد في الصلاة الأخرى. So this is especially when you are making salah jama'ah, then you can see the difference. When you're going to see one person, you're not really going to see this format is not set for one person. Okay, it's set for a jama'ah. So let's see how this actually occurs. والأصل في مشروعية. There's many ayat which we will come across in today's class. حالات الصلاة الخوف حالتان حسب حالة القتال. So there's two different situations that you can find yourself in when there's a war zone. When there's a war zone, two different situations. The first is حالة المرابطة والحراسة وعدم التحام القتال. وفي هذه الحالة تأخذ الصلاة شكلا معينا يختلف بعض الشيء عن صلاة في صورة العمامة. So the first one is when you have to keep watch at the enemy. You have to watch them constantly because the enemy is watching you and they're waiting for an opportunity to attack. So somebody has to keep watch constantly. بسبب حرص إمامهم الأعظم أو قائدهم. So this, who leads the salah? It's either the military leader or the leader, أو من ينوب منابه في أداء. There's lots of things I'm not actually translating because I just want to get the outlay of how this actually works. Let's look at the verse of Salatul Khawf. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإذا كنت فيهم فأقمت لهم الصلاة. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, when you are amongst them. So this is again in the situation of war. We quoted this earlier on and we said how important Salatul Jama'ah is, that even in this case Jama'ah is recommended when your life is in danger. So even more so when your life is not in danger, then Salah is encouraged even more so. So when you are amongst them, فَأَقَمْتَ لَهُمُ الصَّلَاةِ, then establish for them the Salah. فَلْتَقُمْ. So You have to lead the salah. What's going to happen? فَلْتَقُمْ. So must be طَائِفَةٌ مِّنْهُمْ مَعَكَ. There must be a group of the believers with you. So this shows you that there must be a jama'ah. وَلْيَأْخُذُوا أَسْلِحَتَهُم. So here's one of the interesting features of the Salatul Khawf, that your weapons must be with you. Now it's not encouraged for any, the Prophet ﷺ discouraged people walking around the marketplaces, let alone the masjid, with arrows sticking out or any type of a weapon. It's discouraged for people to be carrying weapons in the masjid as well, because the masjid is a place of safety. It's a place of safety. So in this case, an encouragement is to take your weapons with. فَإِذَا سَجَدُوا فَلْيَكُونُوا مِنْ وَرَائِكُمْ. So فَإِذَا سَجَدُوا, when they make sajdah, when they go down for prostration, فَلْيَكُونُوا مِنْ وَرَائِكُمْ. So then when the first group is making their prostration, behind them, وَلْتَأْتِ طَائِفَةٌ أُخْرَى, and then another group comes, لَمْ يُصَلُّوا فَلْيُصَلِّ مَعَكَ. They didn't actually perform salah with the Prophet ﷺ, or rather delay their actions. Let me not go through the tafsir, let me just go through how to actually do it, and we can come back to the verses. So let's see how this is done. وهو عندما يكون العدو رابضا في جهة القبلة والقتال غير ملتحم. So the first situation is in front of you, in line with the Qibla. That's the first situation. So they're just in front of you, you're not busy fighting, everybody is watching each other, but they are in front of you, you are facing the Qibla. So that's the first situation. فَإِذَا أَرَادَ الْجُنُودَ أَن يُصَلِّ جَمَاعَةً. So when the jama'ah is about to be established, وَلَمْ يُرَغِبُوا أَن يُجَزِّئُوا صَلَاتَهُم. They don't want to make separate salah, they want to make one salah. إِلَى عِدَّةِ جَمَاعَةٍ تحقيقا لفضيلة الجماعة الواحدة الكبرى فليرتبهم. The Imam must align them as follows. فليرتبهم إمامهم صفين. There must be two safs or four. So listen to this. So this is the first thing the Imam is going to do. He first make two safs or four. So let's picture two safs. وَلْيُصَلِّ بِهِمْ. He must make salah with him. فَإِذَا سَجَدَ. When he makes sajda, when the Imam goes down, فَلْيَسْتَجِدْ مَعَهُ فَلْيَسْجُدْ مَعَهُ الصَّفُّ الَّذِي يَلِي فَقَطْ إِنْ كَانَ الْمُصَلُّونَ صَفَّيْنِ. So there's two safs. The Imam, he goes down, right? Then the line is just behind him, the saf just behind him. They perform salah, they go down with him. Alright. الذي يلي فقط إن كان المصلون صفين أو الصفان وهكذا. فليقف الباقون يحرسون إخوانهم من حركة غادرة أو نحوها. So the first or the second saf, they are going to stay standing and they're going to observe the enemy. Okay, obviously if the enemy starts bouncing, then they can defend because their weapons are with them. فإذا قام ومن سجد معه سجد الباقون ولحقوا إمامهم في قيام الركعة الثانية. So what's going to happen is the Imam goes down, he performs his sajda. Now when he comes up, now he can see the enemy, and the first saf can see the enemy. Then that group behind now they can go down. So they do the ruku quickly, they bow down, Sami Allahu liman hamida, they go down for the sajda, then the second sajda, then they come up. And they come up in time to catch the Imam with the second rak'ah. So the Imam is busy, still reciting, so they catch him. And then the same thing happens again. The Imam goes down and they come down after him. وتخلف المتبعون له إذ ذاك ثم يتلاحق الجميع في جلوس التشهد ويسلمون جميعا. So then when the Imam goes down and he sits down for his tahiyyat, right? He sits down for his tahiyyat. Now the rest of them come and they catch up with the tahiyyat. So they get the Imam in two places. The one is when he's standing, and the other one is when he's in his tahiyyat. So they all greet together. So it's actually it's a very beautiful scene where people their lives are at stake, and you see this beautiful manner in which they salah. وهذه الكيفية هي التي صلى بها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في غزوة من غزواته وهي غزوة غسفان or عسفان. So one of the battles that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم made salah in this particular manner was the battle of Asfan. فكانت سنة في كل حالة تشبهها. So this is the sunnah of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. And then حديث البخاري عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما قال قام النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وقام الناس معه. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم stood for salah and other people stood with him and people stood with him. فكبر وكبروا معه. So he made the takbir, he said Allahu Akbar, and they made Allahu Akbar with him. وركع الناس منهم. So some of them made ruku with him. ثم سجد وسجدوا معه, and they made sajda with him. ثم قام لثانية, then he came up for the second one. فقام الذين سجدوا وحرسوا, and then those who are watching they joined him. Just like we said, that hadith comes in Bukhari. Then there's a different way when the enemy is in a. So this is easy when the enemy is in front of you, because everybody's just performing salah towards the qibla. But what if the qibla is in one particular direction and the enemy is in a different direction? Just mind you, we are commanded to face to the jiha of the qibla. The direction of the qibla is from our scholars, it tells us that we have to face 180 degrees. You know, this is what is considered as facing the direction of the qibla, because sometimes you're a little bit out over here. Yeah, is it out here? A bit out. 8 degrees. 8 degrees. Okay.
But so I said 45 degrees this side, 45 degrees this side, isn't it?
Yes. But I mean, they say the qibla is out 8 degrees.
So everybody is saying you have a fat lot to say.
Yeah?
You know, Moulana, these people from Asplington, they don't want to salah here,
no,
because we have.
Out 80 qibla.
I see some mosques is like qibla, they're facing like that, and qibla is like that. But still alright.
In Qatar,
yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
So the qibla, I'm thinking of the verse now, it's not coming to me. It will come later, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah.
But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands the Prophet to face the qibla, it's in the jiha of the qibla, the direction of the qibla. The direction of, so it's not the ainul qibla. The ainul qibla would mean you have to face the direct center of that. So there's differences. If you are in front of the Kaaba and you can see it, it will obviously be haram for you to face a different direction, because the qibla is in front of you. But as you move away, you can't see the qibla anymore, and now you have to investigate. So the direction of the qibla is, like you said, it's considered as, so if you have, it's like 180 degrees. 45 will be 90. So it will be 90 degrees from the center each way, so it's 180 degrees, right? So 180 means that if the qibla is there and I'm standing this way, I'm facing directly to the qibla, as that pillar is there in front of me. But as I turn away, it can go to 90, and I can start facing this way. And if I go completely this way, that means I'm not in the 180 degree span anymore. And that means I'm not facing the direction of the qibla. So these opinions are out there. People sometimes, some people that are too hard is actually because a lack of knowledge. It's not that anybody's claiming to have more knowledge than the next person. It's just there are differences of opinion sometimes, and the differences of opinion is there to make things easier. Like in the Hanafi and the Shafi madhab now, with regards to the amount of days you can travel in order for you to be making the Salatul Qasr. So the Hanafi says 15, Shafi would go to 4. But the idea is, can you follow the Hanafi madhab? Yes, you can, if you Shafi. Because to make things easier, and vice versa. This is not for people to fight about. So when somebody fights and says, no, this is the right opinion, it shows that they don't understand. They can't respect the next opinion. So and I think we're living in times like that. We're living in times like that. Maybe Salatul Khawf, when the people are fighting like this about which way to stand in the masjid, then we can make Salatul Khawf at the back and watch them. Al-Kayfiyatu Thaniya. So the second type, or the way of making the Salatul Khawf, is as follows: وَهِيَ عِنْدَمَا يَكُونُ الْعَدُوُّ مُنْتَشِرًا فِي غَيْرِ جِهَةِ الْقِبْلَةِ وَالْقِتَالِ غَيْرِ مُلْتَحِمٍ والكيفية المندوبة للصلاة في هذه الحالة. So what if the enemies are scattered? They are everywhere. We're not in one. We're not going to ask these all guys all line up over there because we want to make salah. So they're going to be scattered. They're going to surround. What happens in that case? ينقسم المصلون إلى فرقتين تقف واحدة في وجه العدو وتراقبه وتحرس المسلمين وتذهب الأخرى لتؤدي الصلاة جماعة مع الإمام. So one, the Imam faces the Qibla. The Imam faces the Qibla, right? Now the enemies are surrounding. They're in different places. So there's going to be a group of people standing with the Imam. There's a group of people. The others are not standing with the Imam. They're by the windows or they're watching the enemy, right? So that's number one. Number two, يصلي الإمام بهذه الفرقة الثانية. يصلي الإمام بهذه الفرقة الثانية. فرقة الثانية الركعة. So he makes one rak'ah with this group. One rak'ah. فإذا قامت للثانية, when he stands up for the second rak'ah, فارقته وأتمته الركعة الثانية بانفراد وذهبوا إلى حيث ترابط الفرقة الأولى. So what happens is so he makes the rak'ah, now he comes for the second rak'ah, now he's standing. While he's standing for his second rak'ah, those who are standing with him must finish their salah. So they go down, they finish their salah. Now when they are done, they go to those people on the various posts, they'll tap them and say, look, guy, you can go now, right? So the Imam is still standing in but now the Jama'ah behind him is a different Jama'ah. Those are the guys that were looking first or watching first, they will come stand behind the Imam. Thirdly, تأتي الفرقة الأولى فتقتدي بالإمام وينبغي أن يطيل قيامه في الركعة الثانية ريثما تلحق به هذه الفرقة. So the Imam must obviously delay his second rak'ah. Not delay, he must lengthen it so that it gives the second group a chance to stand الركعة الثانية التي هي الأولى في حقهم. So obviously it's his second one, but it's their first one. It's like the guy coming like the masbook, which we might need to speak about still. فإذا جلس للتشهد قاموا فأتموا الركعة الثانية ثم لحقوا به وهو لا يزال في التشهد ويسلم بهم. And then they will let me just translate that. So when the Imam فَلْيُصَلِّ بِهَا الْإِمَامَ الرَّكْعَةَ, so the Imam is making his second rak'at and it's their first rak'at. When the Imam goes down for tashahud, they will obviously stand up and they will complete their salah. Then they will meet the Imam while he's in his tashahud. So it's interesting, right? Did that make sense?
Yeah,
Sorry,
it does make sense.
Sorry?
It does make sense.
Okay, so it's quite simple. So either the two conditions is the Qibla is in front of them and the enemy is in front of them, or the enemy is separated. If the Qibla is in front of them, the two safs, right? The two safs, and then the one goes down, the other one stays up. When they are separated, then there's not two safs, it's two jama'as. The first one for the first rak'at, and then the second rak'at, the Imam waits for them, and that's how they will complete the salah. Now remember, this is when fighting is not happening. When fighting is happening, shots or there's bullets flying and or somebody's fighting with a sword, you make salah in any way that you are. So you want to say Allahu Akbar, it's whether it's a slash up, and then you're gonna make salah however you can. But because the thing is that can be your last moments as well before you meet Allah. Any position you can. So that's quite interesting. It makes me feel bad because we need to put more effort in our salah because we're not fighting. We're not fighting. Unfortunately, life just gets the best of us. Dunya is just too intriguing sometimes, and we don't give our salah the haqq that it's supposed to. Even if we do make salah, our mind is not there. And there are courses being given in Cape Town, or books written on how to concentrate in your salah. The Prophet ﷺ would say, "Arihna ya Bilal, let us relax." When we come home, we're tired, we first want to lay on the bed before we make asr. But the Prophet ﷺ's relaxation was in salah. You would find content and peace in salah. A beautiful dua to make is to ask Allah to put content in your salah. In other words, when your salah, it must be a wonderful experience, must be interesting. No, I was just thinking of well, a lot of guilt, obviously, because I'm not in the masjid like I should be. But there's a place for us in every masjid. You know, you're either there, you're not there. You with me? The salah is gonna go on. One day, if we're not here and we buried, the jama'ah will go on without you. You know. So while we're living, it shouldn't be like we did. You know, where the jama'ah is still going on without us. You know. So yeah. Allah make us steadfast in our salah. Ameen. Alright, so we'll just go another 5 minutes. I'm going to stop at 4:15, inshallah. We're going to do Salatul Jumu'ah.
Yeah. On the Khawf Salah,
yeah.
If there's a Jamaat, say there's 40 people and then there's Jamaat and the two shafs, and let's say the first scenario where the enemy is in front of you, all the 40 must partake.
Yes, so they will. Okay. Yeah, but the second one is must do different jama'ahs.
Okay.
So Salatul Jumu'ah. So it's something to remind us as well. Even in a state, ask yourself, in a state of fear, no, I'm safe. You know. So there are people that might be making salah now in that particular, you know, in the Gaza. In Gaza, there might be people performing salah like this now, and they are obviously being attacked. And we are not being attacked, and yet we making dua for them and we're not making salah. You know, so sometimes they're fighting for what we already have. They're fighting for what we have, you know. And what are we doing with that freedom? So Salatul Jumu'ah, مشروعيتها. So Salatul Jumu'ati مشروعة وهي من الفضائل التي اختص الله تعالى بها هذه الأمة التي هديت للفوز بمكرمات هذا اليوم. So, Jumu'ah is the specific virtues given to this ummah and not the previous ummah in the way that we have it. التي هديت للفوز بمكرمات هذا اليوم, to honor this particular day. To honor this particular day. Nobody has been given this gift before us. This came with the guidance of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In Bukhari, hadith from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he heard the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, we are the last, we are al-akharun as-sabiqun yawm al-qiyamah. We the last, and as-sabiqun is the opposite of being last. The last and the first on the day of Qiyamah. بَيْدَ أَنَّهُمْ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ مِنْ قَبْلِنَا. So they were given the books before us. He's talking about the previous nation. ثُمَّ هَذَا يَوْمُهُمُ الَّذِي فُرِضَ عَلَيْهِمْ فَاخْتَلَفُوا فِيهِ. Then هَذَا يَوْمُهُمْ, this is their day which was made compulsory upon them. So they started disputing in it. فَهَدَانَ اللَّهُ, so Allah guided us. فَالنَّاسُ لَنَا فِيهِ تَبَعٌ, so people will follow us. الْيَهُودُ غَدًا, the Jews are tomorrow, which is Saturday. وَالنَّصَارَى بَعْدَ غَدٍ, will be on Sunday. So that is how we are the first. We are the Friday, so we come first, and they are Saturday and Sunday. But they started disputing with regards to their own days. But Allah has guided us. In other words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guided us to the Friday, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the guidance in terms of how to celebrate and honor this particular, the manner in which they should honor that particular day of the Sabbath, Saturday and Sunday. So what the Prophet ﷺ meant was, when we are the last and the first, he said we're the last in terms of wujud, we came last in this dunya. But sabiqun, we are the first in terms of virtue, in terms of reward, and in terms of entering Jannah. So that's what he meant when he said we are the first and the last. We're the first to enter Jannah. So we're the last in terms of living in this world, but we will be the first to enter Jannah. We're the first to get the reward. Alright. This is interesting because it could not have been made in Makkah. It was made compulsory in Makkah already. The verses of Jumu'ah was revealed in Makkah before the Prophet ﷺ made hijrah. Okay? إِلَّا أَنَّهَا لَمْ تَقُمْ فِي مَكَّةَ but it was not performed in Mecca. لضعف شوكة المسلمين, because the condition, the Muslims were in a weak state, and they were not able to perform the congregation of Jumu'ah. وأول من جمع لها وصلاها في المدينة قبل الهجرة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أسعد ibn listen to this name, As'ad ibn Zurara. He was the first one to perform Jumu'ah, because أول من جمع لها وصلاها في المدينة, before the hijrah of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. Must remember, they got to Medina, the Prophet was the last to leave Mecca, so there were people already in Medina. So As'ad ibn Zurara, he was the first of the first to make Jumu'ah, and وغيره. So yeah, so the proof of Jumu'ah. The thing is, in Cape Town, there's this idea of making Dhuhr and Jumu'ah together. You know, I don't know if you know about it. After Jumu'ah, I don't see people do that anymore though.
And I think there's one of them, I think Sheikh Salih Abadi still did it in Dorp Street.
Sheikh Salih Abadi is a major figure, a very honored personality. So I'm going to go away from the personality. I don't know if...
I don't know if they're still doing it.
Yeah.
I think he kind of...
So what happened in the fiqh mas'ala, there's this idea that there must be one jama'ah, right? But there's a condition to that. There must be one jama'ah if there's a place for one jama'ah to take place. So imagine we stayed in a village of 100 people, 200 people. So now there's one mosque. Now the Jumu'ah is called, so everybody comes and make one Jumu'ah. But now let's say one group say no, they don't like this Imam. So what they're going to do, they're going to make the next, they're going to make the Jumu'ah somewhere else. So now this 100 people is going to split into two groups, right? So in that case, this is incorrect, right? Because there must be one Jama'ah, and there is a masjid that everyone can go to. Now because there's a split, one is going to be wrong. So the fuqaha gives the Jumu'ah that is authentic to the Jumu'ah that came first. So if the one performed the Jumu'ah at 1 o'clock and the other one at 20 past 1, so that means Jumu'ah was already performed at 1 o'clock. Doesn't matter who's standing there. You must understand that Jumu'ah was already performed. So what are you doing? You're performing another Jumu'ah, which is... So that understanding in Cape Town, right, there's like 500 different masajids. It's not possible for the whole Cape to come to like a big mosque like Masjid al-Quds, or, you know, there's no... in this case, differences. This is allowed because it's not possible to have one Jama'ah. Now, I think that there's a misunderstanding with that issue, because I think the understanding is that because it's different Jama'ahs, now it's not counted, it's batil. Now we're going to make Dhuhr instead. I think maybe that's... Yeah, so that's an incorrect view. Jumu'ah is in place of Dhuhr. Okay? So we just quote one verse, the proof of Dalilu Mashru'iyatiha. Where does this come from? Where is it stated in the Quran? Look to Surah Al-Jumu'ah verse 9. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, idha nudiya lis-salah, when you're called to salah, min Yawm al-Jumu'ah, on the day of Jumu'ah, fas'aw ila dhikrillah. Rush towards the reminder of Allah in terms of salah. وَذَرُوا الْبَيْعَ, leave trading. ذَلِكُمْ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ إِن كُنتُمْ. That is better for you if you know. I'll leave you with one thought. So this verse says that when you're called, in other words, the adhan is called, then you have to rush for Jumu'ah, or the dhikr of Allah, which is the salah. Is why are you leaving trade? Are you leaving trade because trade is going to make you miss Jumu'ah, or do you have to leave trade on the day of Jumu'ah? So because you trade, you're going to miss Jumu'ah, then it's haram. But if you are trading and the trading is not... So the question is here, can you have your shop open, right, while you are performing Jumu'ah? based on that understanding. So you have a shop, customers come, they come have their food at 1 o'clock, provided that you are going to mosque. So the understanding that I presented to you, that because you so that you know, the idea of missing the salah, that will make it haram, but you're not missing salah in this case. So the shop is open, so it's still fine on that one understanding. Okay, but we can talk about that.
Just a quick comment, Moulana. Sheikh Murad explained to us exactly like Moulana did about direction.
About
direction, standing in the Qibla.
Okay.
Because he was a bit cheesed of people carrying on with your street, this, your street.
Yeah. Let me get the verse for you quickly. قد نرى تقلب وجهك في السماء فلنولينك قبلة فولي وجهك شطرة. That's the verse. شطر المسجد. The word شطرة is the direction of Masjid al-Haram. That's the word I was looking for. Shukran to you.
Enjoy it.
So how was is she enjoying the class?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're trying to I'm trying to make it a workshop, as in a toolkit. Where you inspire, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes the inspiration then you lift it, so how do we do it?
Yeah.
So you're saying istighfar, how do we istighfar, and how do we connect?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to make it into a workshop.